When talking about street art and their artists, one has been around for over 30 years and must be in everyone's mind. Shepard Fairey was born in Charleston, South Carolina in the United States. He describes himself as a fine artist, street artist and activist. In 1988, he graduated from the Idlewild Arts Academy in Palm Springs and earned his Bachelor of Fine Arts from the Rhode Island School of Design in Providence, Rhode Island, 4 years later. Shepard was obsessed with art and skateboarding. While he was still in school, he worked part-time in a skateboard shop and began using his paintings on t-shirts on skateboards. Soon after, he made quite the impact on the skateboard community by posting and pasting his art and stickers all over the place. It was at this moment that he realized his desire, interest and passion in the street art culture and graffiti movement. Another influence came from the punk music, which he demonstrated with stencils. Before we move on, let's talk about street art itself and what makes it different from other art forms. Most works of art can only be viewed in museums or galleries, which are hidden behind closed walls, and one needs permission to access them. Street art or public art is different from that and needs to fit in one of the following categories: in a place freely accessible or visible to the public, concerned with or affecting the community or individuals, maintained for or used by the community or individuals, paid for by the public. When thinking of street art, many people would associate it with vandalism, since graffiti and the like can often be seen on trains, house walls or other public spaces for which the artist did not get permission to work on. Those artworks have been and still are an illegal practice. But this illegality aspect is important, as it encapsulates the artist's true intention, motive, emotion and engagement in his project. No other one's beliefs or restrictions were preventing them from showing you exactly what they wanted you to see. This has changed over time, and more street artists even get hired to create publicly accessible art, mostly to promote consumables such as restaurants, events, technology, or other things that might benefit from being advertised this way. What about viewing street artists and their works of art online? This is another aspect that defeats the purpose of street art. The following quote is brilliant in defining this issue. First, while books and videos may incorporate physical elements of the street, they are not themselves materially in the street, nor are they displayed in alternative spaces generally. Because they are not materially in the street, there is no commitment to ephemerality. Digital representation of works avoids subjection to the various threats of the street, including being removed by the city or altered by other artists. So when one sees a picture of street art online or a book of photographs documenting street art, one is not looking directly at street artworks. End quote. As one of the main characters in the street art movement, Shepard Fairey, who turned 52 on the 15th of February 2022, gained fame in the early 1990s with his Andre the Giant Has a Posse campaign, which distributed posters, stickers and murals featuring the eponymous wrestler around Providence, Rhode Island. Fairey's other iconic 2008 Hope campaign poster for President Barack Obama showcases a number of the artist's recurring concerns, such as political power, propaganda and portraiture. Fairey's work can be viewed in various locations such as New York, London, Los Angeles or Washington. From these examples we can already tell that Fairey likes working with a narrow color palette consisting mostly of white, blue and red. This is also represented in his Women's March campaign, We the People. These posters were designed to protest the election of Donald Trump in 2017. It takes its name from the first line of the American Constitution and shows African Americans, Muslims, Latinas and Native Americans, with powerful slogans such as protect each other or are greater than fear. A quote from Fairey: "It's really about making sure that people remember that we the people means everyone. It means all the people," Fairey said. I think the campaigns were very divisive, more from one side than the other, but it's just reminding people to find their common humanity and look beyond maybe one narrow definition of what it means to be American. Let's take a closer look at one of the three pictures. Defend Dignity. Fairey collaborated with photographer Marlene Mejorado, who fights for immigrants' rights, to create this image. This portrait shows Maribel Valdez Gonzalez, a Texan of Mexican descent. It's meant to inspire sensitivity toward our fellow human beings and the planet itself. The mural can be found in downtown LA on Grand Avenue. It was created in 2019 by Shepard, 2 years after the Women's March and presidential election. The viewer's eyes get immediately drawn towards the middle of this approximately 535 square meters piece of art. The original poster was surely designed using vector art, identifiable by the bold lines and surfaces, especially in the face, to make it suitable for everyone in whatever size they needed. The mural was spray painted and paintbrushed by Fairey and his team of 5 other artists. Besides the portrait, there is a lot more going on. The part in the top left corner is showing an eagle resting on a cactus, holding a snake in its beak. This picture is a direct reference to the art piece by the Mexican painter José Guadalupe Posada from approximately 1900. The act of violence here gets amplified by the use of bright red and dark blue. This part shows silhouettes of a family with the headline "Welcome Visitors." The use of bright blue and white makes it seem peaceful and calm. The fist is a very famous symbol of the Black Lives Matter movement, concentrating on equal rights for people of minority groups all over the world. Between the fist and the portrait we see the words "people" and "power" written in different fonts. This makes it seem as if the words were taken out of whatever context they were originally in. But these two words perfectly highlight Shepard's intention with this project. All separate images seem to be put together in a collage. We see torn sides everywhere, like images and text were taken from newspapers and magazines and then put together. Lastly, I want to highlight the lotus on the right side, even though there is much more to discover. It consists of basic shapes and lines overlapping each other to create smaller and more diverse shapes within itself. There is a drop of blood dripping from the flower. Fairey said, "The bleeding lotus is a symbol of the beauty and fragility of our planet." We also see the word fragile with 2 arrows pointing upwards, the same symbol we find on boxes that inhabit things of value and require special handling and care. The regular patterns we see act as some sort of filler or background for the important bits and bring regularity into the otherwise very chaotic picture. Though the mural has an obvious highlight, the other important parts have been evenly split across the whole space, giving the viewer a lot to explore. All these elements put together have created a unique piece of art within the center of a large and busy city. It brings the focus to exactly what Fairey wants to deliver, and it represents his ideals, which he had ever since discovering his passion for street art and its critical viewpoint from the society. When I met Raphael, the building owner, he explained that he is not only an immigrant whose family had to start over from nothing after the revolution in his native Iran, but his family now runs one of the largest eco-friendly textiles companies. I was overjoyed to realize how well this mural aligned with his philosophies and mine. Shepard Fairey has made big impacts over the last 3 decades and proceeds to do so. I find his fairly minimalistic art style appealing, and it makes his art easily identifiable wherever one might encounter it, during a hectic and chaotic protest on the street or on a more sterile art exhibition wall. The best experience to admire his art would be the actual locations of his murals on the street. Thank you very much.